How your nervous system works and changes. Huberman Lab Podcast number 1. The nervous system is a complex network of communication between the brain, spinal cord, and body that enables various functions such as the release of immune cells to fight infection, the perception of pain, and the ability to think and feel. It also influences and is influenced by other biological systems in the body. The nervous system was once thought to be a single cell, but was later discovered to be made up of trillions of individual nerve cells called neurons that communicate through synapses. The activity of neurons determines various physical actions and perceptions. The nervous system is also a continuous loop, like a Mobius strip, and is essential for understanding experience and changing the self. The nervous system is a continuous loop of communication between the brain, spinal cord, and body. The nervous system governs all other biological systems in the body and is influenced by them. In the early 1900s, it was discovered that the nervous system is made up of trillions of cells called neurons, which are separated by gaps called synapses. The language of the nervous system is electricity, and experiences and memories are stored as patterns of electricity in neurons. Understanding the parts of the nervous system and how it works is important for understanding how experiences and memories are formed. Different events in history, such as warfare and advancements in medicine, have given us insight into how the nervous system works. For example, during World War I, there were changes in artillery that caused bullets to make small, discrete holes in the brain and body when they entered and exited. This led to the creation of naturally occurring lesions in the nervous system, and neurologists were able to study patients with holes in specific locations of their brains to understand how different brain regions function. In the early 2000s, a study published in the journal Nature showed that there was a neuron in the brain that became active only when a person viewed a picture of Jennifer Aniston. This discovery, along with others like it, suggests that the brain is a map of our experiences and has a natural bias towards learning certain types of information. Experience is the way in which the nervous system processes and interprets sensory information. Sensation is the process of receiving and interpreting sensory information through sensory receptors such as those in the eyes, ears, and skin. Perception is the process of organizing and interpreting this sensory information in order to make meaning out of it. There are many species that have unique ways of perceiving the world that humans do not, such as infrared vision or the ability to detect magnetic fields. These abilities are made possible by the nervous system. However, there is some debate about whether some humans may have the ability to sense magnetic fields, but this has not been proven with a high degree of accuracy. There also is a difference between reflexive and deliberate action in the human nervous system. Reflexive action is automatic and unconscious, and is characterized as bottom-up processing because it is driven by sensory input. Deliberate action, on the other hand, is more conscious and requires effort and focus, and is referred to as top-down processing. Reflexive action tends to feel easy and automatic because the nervous system is naturally wired to perform most tasks without much effort or energy expenditure, but deliberate action requires more mental effort and may be more challenging. In addition, we have emotions and feelings, which are thought to be products of the nervous system and involve the activity of neurons. Neurons also release chemicals called neuromodulators which can influence emotional states. Examples of neuromodulators include dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, and epinephrine. These molecules can alter the activity of certain neurons and neural circuits, causing changes in mood or motivation. Dopamine, for instance, is often associated with reward and motivation, while serotonin can make a person feel content with their current circumstances. Neuromodulators can exist at normal levels, low levels, or high levels, and imbalances can lead to abnormal emotional states such as mania. This brings us to the history and effects of antidepressants and antipsychotics, which were developed in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. These drugs work by altering the levels of certain neuromodulators such as serotonin and dopamine, which can influence emotional states. However, these drugs can also have side effects because neuromodulators bind to various receptors in different organs of the body, leading to different effects on different aspects of biology. For example, antidepressants that increase serotonin can improve mood but can also negatively impact motivation, appetite, or libido. Emotions are contextual and may be experienced reflexively, rather than being consciously controlled. Next to emotions, thoughts are like perceptions that draw on past memories and future anticipations, and can be reflexive or deliberately controlled through the use of neural circuits. Thoughts are mental states that can be reflexive, occurring automatically, or deliberate, chosen by an individual. They can draw on past memories, present experiences, and anticipated future events. They can also be controlled and directed by an individual. Actions, or behaviors, are the result of converting sensations, perceptions, feelings, and thoughts into movement. They can be reflexive, such as walking, or deliberate, requiring more attention and control from the brain. The brain plays a role in both reflexive and deliberate actions, with the central pattern generators in the brainstem responsible for reflexive movements and the forebrain responsible for deliberate movements. The cerebellum, located at the back of the brain, is also involved in coordinating movement. It is important to note that thoughts and actions are not always directly related and can sometimes be at odds with each other. Top-down processing refers to the ability to suppress reflexive or automatic responses through the use of higher cognitive functions such as decision-making and reasoning. This process is mediated by the frontal lobes of the brain, which are not fully developed in children or impaired in individuals with damage to these areas or under the influence of alcohol. When top-down processing is not functioning properly, a person may exhibit impulsive behavior and have difficulty controlling their responses and actions. The effort of engaging in top-down processing can also produce feelings of agitation and stress due to the release of the neurotransmitter norepinephrine, also known as adrenaline. This neurotransmitter is associated with the fight or flight response and can produce physical symptoms such as a racing heart and tremors. The limbic system, which is involved in more primitive and reflexive responses, is often in tension with the frontal cortex in the process of top-down processing. Neuroplasticity refers to the ability of the brain and body's neural connections to change in response to experience. It is important to understand because it allows individuals to shape their behavior, thinking, and performance in various contexts. This process requires top-down processing and a feeling of agitation or strain. Children's brains are naturally very plastic, allowing them to easily learn new things, languages, and skills. However, for adults who want to change their neural circuitry at the level of emotions, behaviors, thoughts, etc., they must ask themselves two important questions: which aspect of their nervous system they want to change and how they will go about doing so. The answer to the second question is influenced by their level of wakefulness or sleepiness. While neuroplasticity was once thought to only occur in young animals and humans, it has been shown that the adult brain can also change in response to experience. However, it requires more effort and strain to achieve these changes. Neuroplasticity can be induced through various methods, such as learning new skills, engaging in physical activity, or participating in meditation or mindfulness practices. Neuroplasticity is controlled by neuromodulators such as dopamine, serotonin, and acetylcholine, which can open up plasticity and allow the brain to map new information, perceptions, and emotions. This process can be triggered by both positive and negative experiences, with the release of epinephrine and acetylcholine in particular playing a role. Epinephrine creates a heightened state of alertness and attention, while acetylcholine acts like a highlighter, by marking the neurons that are active during this period of heightened alertness for strengthening and increased future activity. However, neuroplastic changes do not occur during the actual experience or learning, but rather during rest and consolidation periods afterwards. It is during these periods that the brain works to integrate the new information and experiences into existing neural networks. Understanding these processes can be useful for those interested in changing their nervous system and making difficult things easier or reflexive through neuroplasticity. Also, neuroplasticity is a two-phase process that occurs during periods of sleep and non-sleep deep rest. In the first phase, the brain is able to consolidate and strengthen new memories and skills that were acquired during waking hours. During the second phase, the brain is able to reorganize and rewire itself in response to these new experiences and learning. There is evidence that deep rest, or a period of intense focus followed by a deliberate break, can accelerate neuroplasticity, as can certain stimuli during sleep, such as a periodic tone. Neuroplasticity can be used to both add new skills and abilities to the brain, as well as reduce the emotional impact of negative experiences or memories. However, it is not possible to completely erase memories. The autonomic nervous system, which includes the sympathetic, alertness, and parasympathetic, calmness, systems, plays a crucial role in the transition between states of alertness and relaxation. These transitions occur in a daily cycle, with periods of alertness and focus in the morning and evening and a period of deep rest and sleep at night. Sleep is important for physical and mental health, including wound healing, learning and memory consolidation, and the immune system. However, the quality of sleep is also important, as is the timing of sleep. It is not just the amount of sleep that is important, but also the duration and continuity of sleep. Factors such as stress and caffeine consumption can affect sleep quality and timing. It is important to master the transition between wakefulness and sleep in order to optimize the functioning of the nervous system and overall health.
How your nervous system works and changes, Huberman Lab Podcast number 1. The nervous system is a complex network of communication between the brain, spinal cord, and